All right, hello, welcome to Decks Done Right TCG. We are here gonna give me and my friend Jordan. We're gonna go ahead and give you guys a Dominaria set review. Now, this is not gonna cover all the cards, but cards that we think are gonna impact the various formats, constructive formats. So we're not gonna really touch limited, and we're not really gonna touch Pauper. But you know, standard, modern, legacy. I don't think there's anything for legacy or vintage, but you know, we're gonna try and catch those as we go through. So first card we're gonna start off with is, and forgive me if we mispronounce the names of the cards because there's a lot of different interesting names on here, but I believe it's pronounced Naru Meha Master Wizard. It's 4 mana, 2 blue, 2 colorless for a 3/3. Legendary creature, human wizard with flash. It says whenever this card enters the battlefield, copy target instant or sorcery spell you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. And it also has other wizards you control get +1/+1. Now, Lord effects are always a strong effect in Magic as a whole. Wizards is always a loved try by a lot of different people.
Especially with the new Commander deck that just came out.
Exactly. The fact that there was the triple, or the Grixis colored wizards and such. So blue, being that there's not a ton of tribes in blue or dedicated strictly to blue, Merfolk and Wizards being the two main tribes, it gets pretty good love already for just having the Lord effect. But what's important about this card is it has flash, so you play it at the end of your opponent's turn, which means you're going to keep your mana up for counter spells such like that. This card, because there really isn't a wizard deck in modern currently or in legacy, this probably will only see standard play.
Yeah, mainly because I believe of the ability.
Yeah.
The ability specifies it has to be a spell you control.
Right.
And that's gonna put a hamper on that. But
right.
I definitely think it'll see standard play.
And this will slot really nicely in any wizard deck that you build. Azami, she could possibly be her own commander. I don't see a reason why you wouldn't consider her to be a possible, but Azami and the new wizards from the Grixis colors are pretty powerful cards because they give you access to the other colors. It doesn't keep you from being just monocolored. So,
right.
Anything else you want to add on this one?
No.
So overall, I think it's a pretty good card, but probably we'll just see standard play and some commander play. Next up is Demon Lord Bells and Lock. Yeah, that one. So this card's
bad boy.
He's a good guy. He's a 6 mana 6/6, 6 mana 4 colorless 2 black, a legendary creature Elder Demon, with flying and trample. It says whenever Demon Lord Bezenlock enters the battlefield, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card. Then put that card into your hand. So it's not drawing it, it's putting it into your hand. If the card's converted mana cost is 4 or greater, repeat this process. Then it says Demon Lord Bezenlock deals 1 damage to you for each card put into your hand this way. So this card can get out of hand. It inherently will get you extra value when you play it no matter what, because you will always at least put 1 card in your hand, unless there's only lands left in your deck.
Right.
But
And he has the potential. If you build the deck correctly, he could combo with some potential cards.
right. And then just a 6 mana 6/6 with flying and trample.
Is
That's a
pretty good.
fantastic rate without having any kind of drawback at all. Like without there being like an inherent drawback of, well, whenever you cast this guy, you got a sacred creature. Like there's none of that. So there's only upside with this guy. Now, granted, if it triggers multiple times, you lose multiple life. But on average, I don't think, even if you build a deck in like say Modern or whatever, and you build a deck around him to where you can trigger it multiple times, even then, I would think you're probably only going to trigger it maybe 1 to 2 times on average. So you're not worried about losing a ton of life off of this card. You're just gaining value.
And then in Modern, more than likely, a card like that seems like it would combo off in something like Ad Nauseam or something.
Yeah. Well, it even has the same...
Something with like Phyrexian, not Phyrexian Arena. What's that card? The white card.
Which one?
The one that plays with Solemnity.
Oh, Phyrexian Nunlife.
Yeah, Phyrexian Nunlife.
Yeah. Well, even the putting the card in your hand means you don't draw it, so that has the same effect as Ad Nauseam.
Right.
So yeah, this is a really good card. Could see some play in Modern. Probably not Legacy. Probably will in Standard because blue-black control is a thing. So having another beater in the air is pretty good.
Yeah.
It could potentially see play as another commander of just a mono black commander because there's a bajillion and a half of those. What?
The wording on it is you repeat this process. So does it trigger multiple times?
Yeah, it would if you.
So that's different. That's different triggers.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe there's a card that was reprinted. It's either in this set or the last set that prevents damage. That could.
Oh yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
That could be very.
That could help it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But overall, I think this is a stellar card. It's going to see a good amount of play.
It could potentially see play in Modern, but it's definitely see play in Standard.
Yeah. Next up is what I think is probably going to be one of the breakout cards of this set. Again, I'm going to mess this name up, but Multani, Yavamaya's Avatar, 6 mana 0/0, 4 mana colorless and 2 green. For a legendary creature, elemental avatar. Has reach and trample, and then it says this card gets +1/+1 for each land you control and each land in your graveyard. And then it says pay a green and a colorless, return 2 lands you control to their owner's hand, and then return this card from your graveyard to your hand. So, this card could go into... this card could already exist in something like a Abzan rights list, like where there's like you're reanimating various cards like Siege Rhino and stuff like that, because you're already dumping stuff into the graveyard, and then it reanimates itself without even having to have the Unburial Rights card.
Yeah.
So, and the fact that it gets the buff from not only the cards in play, but in the graveyard, cards like Grizzly Salvage and Mulch and stuff like that just make this card just so good, because you're dumping lands in the graveyard inherently anyways because of the filter effect that those cards have.
Scape Shift.
Yeah, Scape Shift
is good with that.
Yes.
Crop rotation.
Yeah, so you could even just Scape Shift for a value, like not even go for the combo win.
You're
with
not even
Valkyrie.
trying to win. You're just like, all right,
Extra value.
here you go. Now my creature's twice as big as it was.
Right, and it can't get pushed.
Nope.
Can't essentially. It more than likely will not get bolted. This.
I don't think it's. I don't know if that's possible. Well, I mean, if you play with like soul rings and stuff like that, then
Yeah, possibly, but Soul Rings you're not playing Modern, so.
Commander.
No, Commander. This is a great Commander card too. Though I don't know if this is actually a good Commander yet. I know he's definitely a good in the 99, but I have yet to really evaluate him on the premise of him being a Commander himself.
I mean, the reach is relevant.
Reach and trample, like so many of the big beaters in green don't have trample. You'd be surprised. Like a Dungrove Elder, which kind of has a similar effect where it gets +1/+1 for each forest you control.
But has its hexproof.
It just has hexproof. It doesn't have trample, and that's what holds that card back. This card having both reach, which is green's biggest weakness, not being able to take on flyers, and trample makes this a house. This is a stellar card. It's probably one of the better cards in green that has been printed in the last couple of sets, and especially for standard. This card is phenomenal. I really like this card a lot.
It's gonna be huge.
It deserves the mythic badge that it holds.
Definitely.
It's very good.
It's great art on it too.
Yeah, it's a sweet art. He's holding something.
Looks like a staff.
Well, the staff, but this thing, it's like a bulb or something. I don't even know, but it looks dope.
Not sure.
It looks dope, whatever it is. So yeah, really, really strong card. Really strong card.
I remember reading about it, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah. So the next up is Vanillish Marshall, and it's a 3 white for a 3/3 human knight, creature human knight. And it simply just says, other creatures you control get +1/+1. So this is a Glorious Anthem on a stick, literally, except for, actually Glorious Anthem was 2 white and colorless. This is triple white. But it is a very strong card. This will probably be the reason why Knights in Standard is a thing. This with a few of the other cards we're going to talk about, but this is probably going to be the glue that holds that deck together. Yeah. I brewed a modern deck of mono white Knights, and I'll do a deck tech on that probably today. But this is another reason why that deck kind of is now going to be possibly a thing. I'm not saying that it's going to be a tier 1 deck, but maybe 1.5. Better than a tier 12 or whatever it was before. And the fact that it's also a human means that it can get slotted into the humans deck, which is already a top tier deck.
And the human deck doesn't, as long as you're not playing the human company deck, it doesn't care about the triple white. All of the lands in that deck.
Yeah,
they all tap for.
Yeah, almost like basically all the lands can basically support this this guy. So lands wise, it is able to be supported. Also, if you do manage to play company, like it'll still get hit off of it because it is a 3-drop.
Right.
But also importantly is when you play the humans deck, your top end is 3 mana, so you stop counting your counters up on Aether Vial at 3. That's you cap it at 3. So you can also vial this guy in, and just something like turn 1, Champion of the Parish, turn 2 play Thalia's Lieutenant, turn 3 play this guy. Like you're just swinging for a bajillion and a half. Like it's gonna be insane. But yeah, this is probably, like I said, the main reason why Knights is going to be a thing in Standard. Could make the possibility of Knights being a thing in Modern, like a somewhat legitimate thing, and it's only going to boost humans in Modern. It's already a deck, so
Yep.
It's a beautiful thing, beautiful card. Next up is another triple triple color card in Dread Shade. 3 black, triple black for a creature shade, 3/3. Pay 1 black. Dread Shade gets +1/+1 until end of turn. So this is a callback to another card back in the day called Nantuko Shade. And this is essentially his bigger brother. It is.
Nantuko Shade did +1, -1, correct?
No, it was a +1/+1, but it was
another one.
but it was a 2/1. It wasn't a 2/2 for 2 black.
Yeah, it's.
So being that this comes into play with 3 power off rip is pretty strong. And so like basically on you're gonna generally want to play this on turn 4, so that way you have the ability to play this and then pump it in response to a lightning bolt or something. If they try to get rid of your creature.
Right.
But this can just take over the game, like by himself. Especially with the ability that black has in its inherent color pie. Stuff like Cabal Coffers can just make this thing have a bajillion mana, and now you've tapped. This guy's like a 20/20 or something like that.
Yep. Already Liliana Ultimate.
Yeah.
Liliana is just stupid.
Yeah. So yeah, Liliana of the Dark Realms, fantastic card and commander. So as far as standard playable, fantastic card. It will see play. I'm almost positive.
And it's also, I definitely do see that being played in Mono Black Devotion.
Yes, Mono Black Devotion in Modern. This is going to be.
That's going to be an all-star.
It's probably going to be in a mix with Dross Messenger. See, the big drawback behind Dross Messenger is that it comes into play tapped. That's a big drawback.
No, it's Unearth, or is it Undying?
Undying. And that allows it to come back. So it's good against Wraths. But I think that this will be the card that sees play in the main board, and then possibly Dross Messenger gets moved to a 2 of or 3 of in the sideboard for Wrath protection.
Yep.
But yeah, this card is fantastic. Don't think it'll see any Legacy play because Mono Black Control really doesn't exist in Legacy or anything like that. And most of the powerful decks in there, though they could possibly run triple black, it's just not. The power level in Legacy is just way higher. So
you're just not going to get as much value out of it as other things.
It's not going to be worth it. But overall, really strong card. I like it. Wrong way. All right, next up is Still Leaf Champion, the other triple card. So triple green, it's a creature elf knight, 5/4, which is fantastic stats. 5/4, 3 mana 5/4, fantastic stats. It gets better. Still Leaf Champion can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less.
5/4 with no drawback.
What? This card is the Nutter Butters. Like,
that's gonna be in elves in a heartbeat.
It'll go in elves. It'll all like. There's the mono green Stompy in Modern is already a thing, and most of the people play Leatherback Baloth, which is a 4/5 for 3 mana. This is just better in every single way because it can't get chunked. Like it can get chunked, but it can't be by Lingering Souls tokens.
Right. Or any mana dorks.
Or young Pyromancer and her whole army. Like none of that works. You're just taking the beats straight to the face. This card is so good.
Actually, I believe almost all of the cards that have flash are all 2 mana and under. They're played in Modern.
Yeah, pretty much.
Spellqueller, Snapcaster.
Yep.
What's the one that's played in the sideboard?
Vendilion Click is the only one.
Click can block. Staticaster, that can't block.
Yep, that can't block either. This is a really strong card.
That's a really
strong card. And it adds to the devotion count if you were going to play mono green devotion.
Yep.
That also is a deck. This, while I don't think that there is a dedicated deck in standard for this, I don't think there's like a heavily green based deck currently in standard. with certain cards possibly printed in the near future because of the core set coming up, it could add to make this a really strong card in standard too. But without a doubt, it's going to see play in modern, especially in the mono green Stompy list.
Honestly, I'd be interested to see if anybody would build around it. And for standard, it's possible.
Yeah, well, and this card, I mean, like, it goes into having with elves in modern too, with being able to be a 5/4. Just that's a house without having to have your Azuri on board or whatever.
Right.
You could still get in some solid beats with it, and one elvish archdruid. You get in there for a bajillion. So, the last thing to note on this card is being that it has 4 toughness makes it more relevant than it would if it was a 5/3 with that same ability, because it gets around bolt or lightning strike or what have you.
Pretty much like the Egg Test.
Yeah, so good. All right, next up is Phyrexian Scriptures. 2 black mana, 2 colorless mana, so 4 mana, for an enchantment saga. Now the sagas are new to this block, or to this
to Magic in general.
yeah, not new to Magic, but new to this set, just created. And it says, as the saga enters, and after your draw step, you add a lore counter to it, and then sacrifice it after 3 lore counters. The first lore counter allows you to put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target creature. That creature becomes an artifact in addition to its other types. So not like overwhelmingly great, but it's not a bad. It's kind of like a +1 on a planeswalker. You know what I mean? Not super incredible. I mean, so many of a previous Ajani's, all it did was give +1 to a creature on your team.
Right.
So nothing crazy there. But the next effect is for the second lore counter, destroy all non-artifact creatures. So it's a board wipe. But you potentially saved one of your guys.
Right.
By making it an artifact. So you could, in theory, then have a clean board except for your guy attacking, which is really strong. If you're the last guy standing, that helps you out. And then lastly is exile all cards from all opponents' graveyards. So it's able to wipe out your opponent's graveyards without hurting yours. So if you're still using your graveyard for something, you're still on the safe side for that. So overall, I think this is the only saga playable.
I believe so as well.
All of the other ones are way more expensive and have even worse effects overall, like cumulative.
The CMC doesn't equal the abilities.
Yeah, like it's just it's in older formats you can abuse this one more too. In Commander and Modern and stuff, you can reset the lore counter back to 2, so you can constantly, back to 1, so that it triggers the second one over and over again. So you can keep every time it's your turn, wrath the board. Essentially, that's a fantastic thing to do. But in Standard, this is probably going to be the only one that sees play. In Modern, it might see play.
I'd see it maybe in the sideboard.
Maybe, yeah, in like a black control list of some sort.
Yeah.
Actually, I could think of one list that might use it is Tezzerator.
That's the exact deck I was thinking of.
Because Tezzerator uses artifacts as beaters, and so like let's say you animate a Darksteel Citadel.
Yep.
So now you got a 5/5. You play this card, give it +1/+1.
You have a
and
6/6.
so now you got a 6/6 indestructible beater, and then next turn you just wipe the entire board. Like that's gonna be pretty good. But other than that, I think it's a good card. It'll see some play in certain decks. Obviously not ubiquitous, but it'll see some play in certain decks, and it's an interesting card. So next up is Evra.
I believe it's Evra.
Sure, Evra. That's what we're gonna go with. EVRA. Halcyon Witness. I know the last word, Witness. So this card, it's a 6 mana, 2 white and 4 colorless for 4/4 legendary creature avatar. It has lifelink, and then you pay 4 mana, exchange your life total with this card's power. So this card is really like a combo card.
Yes. You have to be super careful with it.
You gotta be the most careful with this card.
Because remember, this does go on the stack.
Yeah.
You can't just do it again and expect it not to happen.
No.
It's gonna happen. You're gonna.
Yeah, and the thing is like if someone is holding 2 bolts, you just die.
Yeah. Or if somebody dismember takes it completely out. I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this card, unless you have a way to pump it, is essentially what you're gonna do with it is you're gonna attack with it, hopefully give it some sort of evasion. So that way you can attack with it and then switch your life total with it. Then it becomes a 20 power 4 creature, and then they get domed for 20. And then you gain all that life back, but it doesn't matter because that person's dead unless they somehow gain life over 20. I like the design of this card. It's very unique. There's only been a few cards in Magic's history, I think like less than 10, that allow you to exchange life totals in general, much less life totals with a creature.
Especially power.
Power, yeah. Because there's Tree of Redemption, Tree of Perdition, and stuff like that. But this one does on power. So this is a very unique card. I'm not sure if it'll see play in Standard. I don't know. It may.
It may in like a sideboard.
Yeah, as a surprise attack,
yeah.
something like that. If it had evasion built in, I think this card would be absolutely the nutter butters.
I believe it would.
It would be so sick. But in this set, there is a blue enchantment aura that gives a creature +1/+1 and flying.
Yes.
For 1 blue mana. That card, along with this card, would be really strong. Being able to give it evasion and 5 life. So it actually, or 5, it would be 5 power. So you would actually go down to 5 instead of 4, which is still better.
Right.
Whenever you go down that low, you got to be careful. But yeah, this is a legit card. I think this is a build around me card in Modern. If you were to try to do it, 6 mana is a lot, so it might be something that you have to reanimate into.
I think it's the playing Reanimator in Modern and potentially Reanimator in Standard.
Yeah. So this has a potential. This has a potential.
It has a lot of potential.
It could very well break the game. I don't even know.
It is possible.
But
it actually might be very good in Commander.
Yeah, because it's a legendary creature. You exchange it, make it a 40 power.
Yeah.
Though you're risking it. You're risking it for the biscuit, but you could take out another opponent with it. It's a pretty good card.
Mono white Voltron would be pretty good at that.
Yeah. Throw some equipments on that beast.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And then, like, if you're playing in a game, obviously you would have to have access to red, but like you can swing at an opponent, gain that life back, and then fling it at another opponent to dome 2 people out of the game. That's pretty good. It's pretty good.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
So this has potential to be really, really broken. And I may try to brew a list to figure out, see if I can break it.
I'm on my heat.
So
I'll have to look into that.
So we'll see what we can do with that. Next up is Naban, I think. Naban, Dean of Iteration. It is a 2 mana, 1 blue, 1 colorless, 2/1 legendary creature, human wizard.
Looks like Doctor Strange.
Does look like Doctor Strange, actually. He's just missing the Eye of Agamotto.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's dope looking. It says, if a wizard entering the battlefield under your control causes an ability when a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Now, this card is basically like a really narrow Panharmonicon.
Right.
But
cheaper
at that. It's got unlike a lot of the legendary creatures in this game, in this set, which I was going to one of the things I was going to wrap up with is a lot of them are really high costed 3/3s, which means they just like you pay 5 mana for your 3/3 and it just gets lightning strike. Like that's gonna feel real bad.
It's gonna feel terrible.
So this guy being a real cheap guy, 2/1, you're not gonna be like brokenhearted if he dies.
No. Just as if a Snapcaster died.
Yeah. And it's gonna happen. But there are some cool abilities under the wizards that do exist, that some of the cheaper ones, and so you could do some really cool things with this card. He also works well in the wizard tribal deck of Commander.
Very well.
So many sweet interactions in the various ones, Inala and all those. So very, very good card in the Commander sense. I don't think he's ready yet for Modern. I don't think there's enough wizards that
if he had Flash, he'd be good for Modern.
100%. I actually agree with that. If he did have Flash, that would probably bump him up. Because him, like, say you play him and then you play Snapcaster, that's really strong. But if you were able to play him at the end of your opponent's turn and then untap, then on your turn, even just main phasing a Snapcaster to get double value is pretty strong.
It's very strong.
So, it's close to being Modern playable, and once there's gonna be if there are gonna be more wizards printed soon with more enter the battlefield abilities, I think this is gonna work. I think this is gonna be a big deal. But yeah, a very good card.
Mm-hmm.
This card, I think, it's one of the most talked about cards in the set.
Definitely.
It is Joshu Vess Lich King, and it's a 4 mana 4/5, 2 black and 2 colorless, 4/4/5 legendary creature, Zombie Knight. It has a kicker of 6 mana, 5 colorless, and a black. It itself has menace without the kicker cost. When this card enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, create 8 2/2 black Zombie Knight creature tokens with menace. So, even if it didn't have the kicker ability, this card would be playable. Is still playable. Without the kicker ability, this card is still a great value card.
Right.
A 4 mana 4/5 with menace is super strong. Especially since you're in black, you're going to be able to, possibly remove other blockers, so essentially becomes unblockable.
Mm-hmm.
And the icing on the cake is basically just the finisher in a control deck, right? Like you just play this guy and all his minions and then kill them for game. Like
you play that in standard with white-black tokens?
Yeah.
Oh, that's 16 tokens?
Yeah,
or even more?
It's
just one in one per session is just 16 tokens.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's pretty much lethal
dumb.
off rip. Like
that's
8 2/2s. That's 6. I'm not good at math, but that's 16 damage by itself.
Yeah.
And he getting in for the extra 4, that's 20, right? So essentially it is 20 20 damage for 10 mana.
Right. That's
So
pretty good.
It's pretty bonkers.
And the tokens have menace.
Yeah, and the tokens have menace.
And actually, another relevant fact is they are zombie knights.
Yeah, they are. Remember the knights thing?
Yeah,
like that's going to be
relevant.
a thing. The knights are this is the set that the knights become a thing. With that said, standard, this is going to be a house. In modern,
Liliana's Mastery is still in standard, isn't it? Gives all zombie tokens +1/+1.
I'm trying to remember what set that's from.
I think that's from Amonkhet.
You might be right. We may have to check.
That's interesting.
I think so, actually.
Yeah.
I think so. So in modern, 4 mana, 4/5 with menace is close. It can see play in a possible couple of decks. If those play in mono black control.
Yeah.
But
or maybe like a one of in a like an actual control deck.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
Esper control,
Yeah,
something that can support black as its color, but
black specifically.
but it's gotta be it's gonna be like the top end finisher
Right.
of a control deck. It's not. I don't think being a 4 mana 4/5 is good enough, even with the menace. Just as a normal beater in modern, so it's close but not there.
A 4 mana 4/5 is just that's not good enough. I mean, you can get a Tarmogoyf that big and a couple
for
turns.
2 mana.
Yeah, for 2 mana.
Yeah, so it's close but not there. Maybe as a one of and a top end of a finisher of a control deck.
Right. Very good for standard though.
Yeah, no, it's a house in standard by far.
Definitely.
It's a good card, very good card. Next up is one of the first cards that I saw that kind of piqued my interest whenever the initial set was spoiled. What is this card? And I'm going to mess this one up too. Zahid. Zahid. Jinn of the Lamp. It is a 6 mana, 5/6, 4 colorless and 2 blue. Legendary creature Jinn. You may pay 3 mana and a blue, and tap an untap artifact you control rather than pay this spell's mana cost. And then it also has flying, which is weird because normally they put the keywords above the ability.
It's like they're going back to the old
style. That was a weird. I don't know why they did that with this one. But
that's actually is relevant.
Oh no, it's super relevant
in like standard or something.
Mm-hmm.
Because most people, if you attack, they're just trying to figure out what to block and whatnot, and they don't see it as flying.
Well, and also in standard, you also still have the servo tokens. You also have the treasure tokens, and so you can actually save your treasure token. You can just tap it instead of tapping and cracking it. You can just tap it, and then the 4 mana, and you get the 5/6 flyer. So it's essentially becomes a 4 mana 5/6 flyer, which is fantastic rate.
Right.
Really good card. If you're paying the full rate, it's an okay card. But if you're able to get it for the reduced cost, strong card.
Very good.
I could see this being played in a variety of decks in standard that play blue with artifacts.
Flying for blue is very, very relevant.
Yeah, and I don't. While it is a good card, I don't think that there's a relevant deck for it to be in modern, because all the majority of the artifact decks, they're really fast. Therefore, not needing to pay, like Affinity is not going to necessarily need this card.
And there's no way that they're going to want to pay that much. Like if they have to pay 2 blue,
right?
They're not.
And then sure, you can add this to like Tezzerator for a flying beater, but
Tezzerator is quicker than that.
Yeah, it is on average faster. So you're not really worried about this card.
Right.
Though I could see it possibly seeing play as one of, but not detrimental to the deck or anything.
No.
So overall, decent card. Probably will see standard play. Not anything else though, really.